Thanks so much, Paul, and to Enterprising Cumbria and the Cumbria Lieutenancy for inviting my colleague Dennis and I along today to talk to you more about the King's Awards for Enterprise. As we move through the slides, as Paul said, we are talking about our 2027 round of awards. It can be confusing, as Paul said, we are in the 2026 year, but we talk about the awards in the year that they are awarded, which will be May next year, hence May 2027. But without further ado, I will talk you through our slides for you today. So, as you may know, the King's Awards for Enterprise are the most prestigious awards for UK businesses, and they are a globally recognised royal seal of approval for UK companies. The late Duke of Edinburgh first created the awards back in 1965, so we're really excited that this year is our 60th anniversary, our diamond anniversary of the awards. So we really hope to encourage as many applicants as possible. Since their inception in 1965, over 8,000 companies have received the award, the first being in 1966. We are now known as the King's Award for Enterprise. We are in the fourth year of that new title, and both the name and the emblem have been updated to reflect this. So you may see this royal emblem here, which is the King's Award emblem, on businesses' products, marketing support, email, signature, etc., vans, lorries. That is the emblem that all recipients can use for 5 years. And we'll talk a little bit more in a moment about how businesses can use that to their advantage. It is a royal emblem, and with it comes, we encourage applicants to use it as much as possible because it really is recognised across the world. So what categories can businesses apply for? So you can apply for one or multiple categories if you wish to do so. The first category that we have is innovation, and the innovation category recognises businesses that have developed a commercially successful innovation, whether it's a product or service. So the key part there is commercially successful, and it must have been available to customers for 2 years. We will talk more about the categories in more detail later on in the presentation as well, but just so you know, this is a quick overview. So the second category is international trade, and that recognises significant growth in overseas sales. Our third category is sustainability. So this shows outstanding whole organisational commitment to sustainability for at least 2 years. Our fourth category is promoting opportunity through social mobility. Now, this category recognises high quality social mobility initiatives that are actively supporting people from disadvantaged backgrounds, develop skills, gain opportunities, and progress in the workplace. Our fifth and newest category for this year, which we're really pleased to announce, is the Young Founder category. So this is a new category that will recognise exceptional businesses led by founders aged 18 to 30. So as I said, this is new for this year. It's launching on the 6th of May and is the aim to recognise more young entrepreneurs throughout the UK. We are currently at the final assessment stage of this year, and we will be announcing on the 6th of May our recipients for this round. So the stats that you'll see in the presentation today are from last year because we can't share those just yet. But as I said, keep an eye on our socials from the 6th of May when we'll be announcing this year's winners. So why should businesses apply? What are the benefits to applying for the King's Award? Now, the emblem is a trusted mark that really does deliver immediate and long-term business benefits, and successful businesses can use it on all of their products and marketing materials for 5 years. Many recipients tell us that this royal endorsement really helps them to stand out from their competitors, especially when trying to build new relationships overseas. It is recognised all over the world, but particularly the US and Asia business winners tell us that they're particularly enthusiastic about working with a company that has personally been approved by His Majesty the King. A business told me last week that they flew out to Asia and they had a meeting prepared to discuss a new product, a new contract. But before they even started to talk about that, the business in Asia wanted to spend 45 minutes talking about their King's Award and how it meant so much to them to meet the King and to have that King's Award emblem. And then the contract went on to be a success. Another company told me that before he received the King's Award, he was winning maybe 2 out of 10 contracts with potential customers. since receiving the King's Award, he is now winning 8 out of 10 contracts with his with potential clients. So it really does have that mark of trust and marks you as a credible business. Lastly, and very importantly, the awards also provide a huge boost to staff morale. So it's a great way to recognise every member of staff in your company. It really helps winners to maintain their current highly skilled staff, but also attract new staff as well who will want to come and work for a King's Award winning business. In terms of celebrating success, this slide shows how recipients really do make the most of their emblem. So we have our royal reception here, which is hosted by His Majesty the King. Additionally to that, each recipient receives a trophy and grant of appointment scroll, which is personally signed by the Prime Minister and His Majesty the King. And that's presented by your business's local Lord Lieutenant at your place of work. Again, a fantastic celebration for staff, a great opportunity to throw a party for your staff, to celebrate, to invite local press along. It's really a great marketing opportunity, both on the 6th of May, as well as the reception at the royal reception at a palace, and the demonstration of the trophy and grant of appointment. So it's 3 amazing media opportunities to really get press coverage and celebrate your success with this award. I'm going to pass on to Dennis now, who's going to talk to you a little bit about the stats and our categories in more detail. So thank you, Dennis.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad that we've been able to share these thoughts on the King's Awards with you. So, sorry. So there are 199 awards across 195 businesses for 2025. So that included a double recipient. This is a business that applied for more than one category. 88% of the applicants that applied were small and medium-sized enterprises, and 14% were micro businesses. So that is a small business with less than 10 employees. So a business is not too small to apply, and if they can meet the eligibility criteria, they'll be welcome to apply. The statistics, as you've been noted, are for 2025. The statistics for 2026, as Chloe has already mentioned, can only be made available after the 6th of May. So we've received approval from both the Prime Minister and His Majesty the King last week. So all businesses that have been awarded have been notified under embargo. Next slide, please. So this slide will just show you a breakdown of the 4 categories that we had for 2025. So there was 116 awarded businesses in international trade. This is the category which usually attracts most applications. 46 for innovation. This particular application form is being updated for the moment, and we are trying to aim to develop the form so that we can reach out to help service providers also to be included fairly. 27 was sustainable development, and 10 businesses were awarded promoting opportunity. Next slide, please. Okay, this slide will just give you an introduction to the annual cycle And of course, more information is available once an applicant is registered on the system. So the 27 application stage will open on the 6th of May and will close on the 9th of September. All applications must be submitted online. Applications are assessed by a separate team of assessors with each category or for each category. They have experience and expertise. All applicants are notified in November, and shortlisted applicants for innovation and international trade categories are required to provide independent verification of the financial data which was submitted with the application. Applicants are notified of due diligence checks in Section A of the application form. This is an important and essential part of the process. This is for making or ensuring that in making an award, there is nothing detrimental or embarrassing to the government or the Crown. We reach out to over 40 government departments for due diligence checks. In January and February are the months where the process is looked after by the judging panels. So the assessors' recommendations in the form of a case summary are examined by the judging panels for each specific category. Panel judges do not get to see the application form. So judging panels' recommendations are reviewed by the King's Awards Advisory Committee in February. So a list of recommendations is then sent to number 10 for the Prime Minister to consider, and before finally being submitted to His Majesty the King for his personal approval. Awards are officially announced to the national and regional press on the 6th of May to mark the anniversary of His Majesty the King's Coronation Day. Next slide, please. So, initial eligibility criteria. So a business can apply for the King's Award for enterprise if they are based in the UK, have a clean compliance record with HMRC, and as I have mentioned, awards bearing His Majesty the King's name. Due diligence checks are a vital part of the assessment process and are undertaken again by 40 plus government departments and agencies. This is to ensure making an award is not detrimental or embarrassing to the government or the Crown. The other business can apply if they're operating as a self-contained business with their own accounts. Important, they must employ at least 2 people. And finally, can show strong environmental, social, and governance practices. Next slide, please. So application top tips. Here are some of the top tips for applicants once they have completed the eligibility criteria. So important that they add collaborators to the account, so the application can be planned together with colleagues. Important point is to read through the form So you can structure your success story, use plain English and not technical jargon, and give plenty of time for planning and preparation. A strong application can take over 20 hours to complete. Next slide, please. Application guidance for innovation. So you can apply with an innovative product or service that has been on the market for at least 2 years and also for the first time. Assessors will need to understand what has made the innovation unique and how it has benefited the business, customers, and others. Assessors will be looking for commercial success over a period of between 2 and 5 years, including returns on investments. Innovations can relate to goods, services, marketing, distribution, or after-sales support. Explain it in simple, clear terms and avoid technical jargon. The assessors need to understand what the innovation is and how it has been developed, what difficulties and challenges were overcome, and the positive commercial success and positive outcomes. Next slide, please. International trade. So international trade category recognizes businesses that have achieved strong, substantial growth over 6 years or steep growth over 3 years, and reflecting on the pattern of the success within the business. An applicant must show at least 100K in the first year of their application period and subsequent years with no dips. Growth rates can vary with size of the business and with the sector. Next slide, please.
Thanks, Dennis. I think that's.
And I'll hand back to Chloe.
Thank you, Dennis. So the third category is promoting opportunity. So as mentioned, this category recognises organisations that run a programme or intervention that's specifically helping people who are facing barriers to access the workplace. So you can apply if you're a business, charity or social enterprise. You can apply if you are a training provider or an educational organisation, but only as a partner with a business. So as we are the King's Award for Enterprise, it does need to have that business element to it. So for example, if you're an apprenticeship provider, you could apply as a joint application with a local business that you work with quite closely, and we can talk more about that for anyone that's interested. The types of interventions that we're looking for are those that are having a real impact and can demonstrate KPIs and progress tracking. So we really need to see that the transformation is that the program is transformative. It's not just everyday work going on within your organisation. Our fourth category is sustainability. So we've done a lot of work this year on refreshing the category, including the name change from sustainable development to sustainability. And this change reflects us looking at the whole organisational approach across sustainability for at least 2 years. So we really need to see that your organisation is genuinely leading the way in terms of sustainable development within your sector. The business must also be financially viable too. So expectations have risen significantly over the last few years in terms of what sustainability looks like. And we're now looking for modern sector-leading sustainability standards rather than just basic compliance. So we'd expect companies to be looking at their scope 1, 2, and depending on the size of business, scope 3 emissions as well. Benchmarking is really important. B Corp status isn't essential, but it does help show a strong application. And we also recommend companies to look at the relevant United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to help you with the narrative throughout your application and to show why you really are exceeding. Now, our last category, as I mentioned, is our new category for this year. It's focused on those aged 18 to 30 that have founded a business and are still actively leading that business. So they do need to be involved in the day-to-day running still of that business. It's a showcase entrepreneurship within the UK as an exciting and achievable career path for young people. So the award is given to the whole business, but there will be a spotlight in terms of communications, celebration, etc. on that individual who is the founder. Those that can apply, as I mentioned, must be aged 18 to 30. They must be based in the UK, as with the other categories, and they must show evidence of commercial success or growth potential. So we'd be looking at either £250,000 in turnover or £500,000 in external funding, so investment, loans, grants, etc. On top of that, we would look for the company to be employing at least 2 people, so it can't be an individual applying. It has to employ at least 2 people and have been running for 2 years as well, so that we can really see that there is potential there for this company to really excel. These are the themes as well that we'll be looking at throughout the application form. The top one does include a short video from the founder so that we can really see the passion coming through about why they've started the business and why they feel it deserves to be recognised. So just before we finish, just a reminder that the application's open for this year on the 6th of May. So we announced the winners on the 6th of May, and we also open for the new round on the 6th of May as well. The application process is free. It's an online process on gov.uk, and we would be very happy to take any questions. I think there's one more slide that I'll just pass back to Dennis.
Okay, so contact us. Please do contact us. So the King's Awards office is a small and friendly team of 5 persons who are there to help, whether it's talking through the application form or the process, or helping out with IT issues. So please call us or email us using the contact details on the slide. And for further information, we have our blogs, which include tips on how to develop a strong application and inspirational case studies from awarded businesses. Thank you for listening.
I would like to welcome, we've got 2 guest speakers now from successful Cumbrian businesses who've both won King's Awards in the relatively recent past, and we wanted to give you all an overview of what those businesses do, and also for them to talk a little bit about their journey and how they found applying for the awards and obviously getting that great news that they've been successful. So our first speaker is Daniel Holder from The Quiet Site. So Daniel, hi, thanks for joining us.
Hi Paul, pleasure to be here.
Great stuff. We're going to hand over to you now, I think. You've got some slides to share with us, and over to you.
Okay, so I'll just share my screen if you can. Okay, can you see the screen there now?
We can, thank you.
Perfect. Hi, well, hello everybody. Thanks for inviting me to talk with you this afternoon. I'll start with a quick run through about the Quiet Site and then follow up talking about our experience with the King's Award, why we applied, how the application experience went, and what winning 2 awards has meant for my team, our customers, our industry, and indeed me. So the slide. So I bought the Quiet Site around 25 years ago after a career in engineering. The park, as you can see, occupies an old farm, and a sheep farm actually. Dates from the 17th century, and it began farming tourists rather than sheep around about 1963. My first project as a new owner of the Quiet site was sadly not the sexy one I'd envisaged. Our sewage system was failing and we needed to find a replacement. Finding a solution that worked consistently well, that could grow with us, yet was inexpensive to run, was proving really hard to find. Indeed, we were being quoted more than I'd actually paid for the business for the modern packaged treatment plants, due to the high flow rates that we have in our business. The answer came in the form of a technology that's been around for hundreds of years, namely reed beds. We now have 4 reed beds totaling some 1,200 cubic meters set in series, and dirty water takes around about 6 weeks to get from the top to the bottom. And when it gets to the bottom, we just pump around half of it back up again to flush toilets. So really good little system there. Advantages with reed beds are that they're a fantastic environment for wildlife. No electricity is needed, unlike modern systems. And because of the long time constant, namely sort of weeks rather than hours, any system failure can be dealt with in a timely fashion. Disadvantages, well, the only real disadvantage with them, as far as I can see, is the fact that it took us about 18 months to get our case through in front of the Environment Agency, and for them to accept reed beds could be used to treat water as a primary treatment. Next project involved re-roofing the service block. The existing block needed a new roof, so we replaced to the south-facing side with 35 square meters of solar thermal. That's the bottom left-hand picture on the screen. These panels produce annually 4% of our total energy requirements completely free. A great business investment that is simple, reliable, cost-effective, and sustainable. Next, we introduced a biomass boiler in about 2014. Now, this biomass boiler actually now takes the place of around 30 oil and gas boilers, by linking it to a really large water storage. We store around about 25,000 litres of hot water, and we can store this energy really cheaply. So what's next? So in the same way as the sewage treatment it runs on a very long time constant, so does the hot water. Our biomass boiler is essentially running all the time, and it works in conjunction with the solar thermal panels and the ground source heat pump. And the biomass boiler now produces around 41% of our energy requirements every year. In 2020, we installed a ground source heat pump during lockdown. Again, a great source of sustainable, cheap energy, especially when coupled with solar PV. We've been investing in highly insulated accommodation for 15 years. Firstly, locally made camping pods, then our self-built hobbit holes on the right, and then the glamping cabins in the middle are locally made. More recently, we've been investing in simple hedge-wrapped carbon positive holiday accommodations. We call these gingerbread houses, and they actually generate more energy than they use to run. We squeezed around about 80 kilowatts of solar PV on the roofs without the need for a standalone solar farm. And the embedded carbon is mitigated with the flexible and long life that these buildings have. In 2018, we installed a zero waste shop, and with it, we've cut single-use plastic to virtually zero and have been able to influence both our guests and our suppliers, two of which are Helen and David on the call. Our customers have had to change the way they package or lose us as a customer. Zero waste shops are also excellent at reducing food waste. People buy just what they need, often bringing their cereal bowls into the shop to fill. Essentially, I always think we're just actually turning the clock back around 50 years. And since we opened the zero waste shop, we've cut our waste down by about 15%. So all these initiatives fit together to form a business that's well on its way to being carbon neutral. It's taken 20 years of hard work, and the question is, does it pay? Well, energy costs have been slashed. Our return on investment has been reduced significantly. We're working, when I say we're, all of the team are working with new and modern technology, which is generally much more pleasant to deal with. And we've had some not insignificant exposure from awards. Sustainable transport is another area we're keen to tackle, and these are the all-important Scope 3 emissions, which in our industry is so difficult to get a handle on. I'm a founding member and trustee of Situ, and which stands for Sustainable and Integrated Transport for Ullswater, a group that are looking at the way we move people around the valley once they're here, and indeed how they get here in the first place. High car numbers in the valley mean that we're often approaching gridlock at busy times. And in the 3 years, Situ has opened a new footpath from Penrith Station right the way through to Pooley Bridge Pier, steamer pier. In 2023, we started a hopper bus, linking accommodations with attractions on routes that weren't previously served by public transport. 2024 saw a second bus linking Keswick and Penrith to the valley. And the way we fund that is by getting all the business together. We got 30 businesses that pledge around about 50k to the service to underwrite any difference between fare income and the running costs. 2025 saw us move more than 6,000 people through the valley. And this year we've added a third bus onto the network. And it's probably fair to say that I spend more time now running the bus network than I do the quiet site. So that's where we are. That's us. I'll look now at the application process. So why did we apply? How did the application process go? And did winning and indeed losing, what did it mean to us? So why did we apply? Well, one of the greatest challenges to any business like ours is how it stands out from the crowd, how it becomes visible. We all do, let's face it, social media. We all send newsletters. But winning awards really seems to mean something more to our customers. It really makes a difference. The Quiet Site is no stranger to awards. We've entered many, won a couple, and we don't do it for the vanity, but because I think it's one of the best ways to both promote and energize the business. Two reasons stand out. Firstly, the application process makes you examine and re-examine why and how you do things. Applications promote thought. And secondly, if you're lucky enough to win, then the exposure raises you above your competitors. The more awards you enter, the more you have to think. And then if things go to plan, the better and more successful your business becomes. So it's a positive cycle. The King's Award application process is by and far the most searching one that I've ever undertaken. And actually, I wouldn't say 10 or 20 hours is nearly enough. I reckon we took at least 40 hours of joined up thinking and hard work to get to where we were with each application. It's a real investment in time. You know your business better than anyone else, so subbing it out to a third party probably won't cut it. Probably I've written here, top tip, start early, think in terms of months rather than weeks. We received a Queen's Award for Enterprise back in 2020, and in 23 we applied for 2 more awards, one successful and the other not. And actually, I completely concur with Amy. The feedback from the unsuccessful application was excellent and really thought-provoking. I was helped with my application by my lovely neighbour at home, and when she'd finished fine-tuning it, it resembled more, it wasn't unlike a short novel, I thought. Before submitting, I forwarded the completed application forms to a couple of friends who'd run businesses that share our ethics, and they were very generous with their time and made some excellent suggestions. And as such, I'm very happy to look over anybody here who's got an application going in. I looked over one last year, or the year before, by the Config team, and they were successful in their application for an award for international trade last year. We provided letters of support written by our MPs, industry experts, and indeed customers. And our King and Queen's Award have given us both national and international recognition. We've managed to increase the number of international guests as a direct response of these awards. And as far as I know, we're the only holiday park to have ever won both. Our team are engaged and proud. Our customers have more confidence, and our reasonably complacent holiday park industry is having to take another small step forwards to a better future. The trip to Windsor Castle was surreal. Think idyllic castle lit with flaming torches, kings and queens strolling round, butlers everywhere. And post-COVID, the new rules mean that no partners are allowed. So everyone was much more open to talking, and conversation flowed through both afternoon and evening when I was there. Thriving businesses, I think, create vibrant communities, and winning this award has certainly helped us thrive. I think it really helps to love your business. The award is more than just being good, it's about being excellent. I've another new business at planning stage and really hope to make the journey with that one from the drawing board to Windsor Castle. And if you're looking for perhaps the most prestigious award in the UK, then the King's Award is the one to get. Internationally recognised, long commitment to excellence, and it's a little bit like having your business knighted. But I think probably the final word was the best bit for me was actually my mum was really chuffed that I met the King and Queen, actually. So yeah, thank you very much. Thanks very much, Paul. Cheers.
Thank you, Daniel. That's a really great overview of your both the business and your kind of experience in applying and successfully winning the award. We'll move on now to our next guests, who are Helen and David Brass from the Lakes Free Range Egg Company. So I think David, Helen, you've got some. You're going to give us an overview of the business, and I think talk through your experiences as well. So can we pass over to you?
That's correct. I believe somebody's showing some slides for me. Brilliant, thanks. This business, I tend to do all the talking, but I must say that there's a saying out there, behind a good man there's a better woman. So Helen will prod me if I've missed something out, no doubt. Lakes Free Range Egg Company, I used to be a pilot in the Air Force, retired for 40 years ago now. So this is my retirement job, was the Lakes Free Range Egg Company. And never really thought about why we would want to get to apply for an award. Then we applied for Business in the Community Award a few years ago, and the team at Business in the Community, when we won one of those, was, why don't you try for the quality of what you're doing in your business needs to be out there in the Queen's Award, it was at the time. So that's why we applied. Next slide, please. Just thoughts really about why you'd want to do this. It makes your company stand out a lot. I'm going to repeat what Daniel said, to be fair. A lot of it makes your company stand out away from others. I didn't realise quite when we got involved how internationally recognised it is. I go to international conferences now, which are, again, invites due to winning the King's Award. And one of the reasons is they look and they see that you've been recognised with one of these awards. And one of the beauties of it is it's across the whole of industry in the UK. You're being assessed against all others in the UK. It's not just your little piece of industry. It's wider than that. It's the whole sort of 1.4 million other SMEs and companies across the UK. For us, in our industry, there's been no other egg industry company in the country that's been awarded a King or Queen's Award once, and we've got both. So it goes to your head a little bit till I went and visited JCB and they pointed out they had 47, so maybe have a little bit more to go. But it's definitely the kudos that brings with the feeling it brings to your team. Everybody that's associated with us, we have supply farmers, we have employees here, we have retail customers, and all of those feel as though they're involved with that, because they all are. But you can't win an award like this on your own. It's the whole team, and the team brings out to that a good feeling, I guess, a better feeling about the whole company and their job. They feel more worthwhile in their job. So it's useful because of that. Next slide, please. Like I said, last year there was only 27 Sustainable Development Awards. So out of a whole 1.4 million companies, we figure that was quite an achievement. It strengthens all the bonds between your suppliers. Your suppliers feel they're part of a team. They're not just suppliers anymore. They're part of a team. We keep pushing. There we go. And they want to be associated with a company that's got that sort of an award with them, so that you keep people longer, you attract people into that team, and it allows your company to grow because of that. And what it has, one of the side effects it has for me is personally being wider known across the industry, and with that comes membership of a whole stack of more work, to be fair, on industry bodies, on DEFRA committees for agriculture, consultees on NGOs, and industry regulation changes, and discussing industry regulation changes and involvement. And because of the award, people feel you maybe have something to contribute, even though you probably didn't think that in the past. And there's also the bits and pieces that agricultural industry, in our case, because that's where we are, invites to directorships of insurance companies that trade in that, of lobbying groups that trade in that. And it also spurs you, as well as everybody else, on to do more. You feel you've got to live up to what you've achieved so far, and you can't go backwards. You've got to keep going forwards. Next slide, please. The actual application process itself, Daniel's right. It's 20 hours. It depends what you have to do justice, but it's all new. And one of the main questions that I was really surprised at is why? That there's a question about a particular facet of your business and what have you been doing in your business, and then the next question is why. And actually, that for me was a complete reset. You've been doing things on the sustainability field for years, and you just naturally keep doing it, and then the question there is why? Why are you doing this? Are you still doing it right? Should you be doing something different? So the whole application process actually makes you reassess the whole of what you're doing within your business. A lot of the stuff that you're just taking on the day-to-day, actually, you might think about, is this the right way of doing it? Is there a better way of doing it? That was an unintended consequence, but you're right. It's quite a long process. I'm not saying it's complicated. It's just time-consuming because of all the detail that it's expected to substantiate what you're claiming. And it also does, it gives you a clear focus of where your company is and where your company wants to be in the future. It brings you into that process while you're on the application process. Next slide, please. And what did we do right? Some things just happened by accident, to be fair. We started planting trees for chickens because with an empty field in the middle of summer, if you plant a tree in the middle of it, there's lots of chickens underneath it. And as we're a free-range egg industry, that was good for us. So that was our first foray into sustainability back in 1997, I guess. Since then, we planted 20,000 trees on our own farm. The company's grown over that time period, so we now have another 85 farms that supply eggs to us, of about 3 million birds. And all of those farmers have trees planted, so that's about 375,000 trees that we planted. And then I suppose part of the application process for the King's Award shows, is this replicable? And what has happened is, because we've proven scientifically, because all that we do within the company, we have to prove scientifically to my own satisfaction, that the research shows welfare. So the NGOs that provide research in the UK decided that to be their codes of practice. So now every single free-range farm in the UK has a woodland planted for it. So that's about 1.2 million trees that have been responsible for pushing that direction. So it shows it's replicable and builds for everybody else. A thing that Daniel kind of touched on as well, actually, was it actually makes money. A lot of the time, some of the big things that you do are profitable as well as being sustainable. And we've over the last few years, and most companies are looking for 30% reduction by 2030 in carbon. Our Scope 3 carbon will reduce 60%, and it hasn't cost our farmers a thing. In fact, most of our supply farmers don't even know they've done it. So that's through the processes the thought process, and we developed for the first Queen's Award, to be fair. And what we do is replicable. It's easily copied. Anybody else can do that. I think that was quite important as part of the application process in the King's Awards, is that other people can do it if they just want to try. Next slide, please. So I've got to go around to Daniel. This is the company story. It's all Helen's fault. When I retired from the Air Force, we came back to the family farm, and it was a small beef and sheep farm, 100 acres. And in the mid-1980s, late 1980s, two families couldn't make a business out of that. So Helen would keep 200 chickens. Next slide, please. And 200 chickens worked for a little while. And then it kind of grew, and we decided we'd expand a little bit and try and sell into the retail trade. So we set up a company that packed eggs for retail. And that grew over the next 10 years until 2011. We built a brand new packing centre, which was, again, where the sustainability journey took another step. With this one, it's all the things you'd expect from a modern sustainable building. It has heat pumps, biomass, roof harvesting for all the wagon washing and toilet flushing. So it allowed us to start afresh, which is, I guess, one of those things. It's very difficult to make a highly sustainable operation if you don't have a fresh start. If you're just trying to patch up old things, it never really works. Next slide, please. And the first Queen's Award was in around about 2018, and you can see that focus on the company and some of the trade-off from the awards with the customers it brings, the international attention it brings. There's a massive increase in growth in the company over those intervening years. Real challenge to keep up with some of that, I guess, in the company, but it's a whole team pulling together, and those King's Awards and Queen's Awards bring that team together to achieve this sort of growth. Okay, next slide, please. And that's where we are now. We've got 3 million hens supplying us on 85 farms, and those are all across the UK, which for a sustainable company, you think, hang on a minute, they've got farms in Monmouthshire, Mid Wales, Southwest Scotland, up as far as the bridges at Edinburgh, Northern Ireland. But the way we've worked it is that we have trucks going to those places every day down the motorway to deliver eggs to retail distribution centres. So they go out empty, so they go out full and used to come back empty. So we select farms that's near to the transport hub, so they come back full as well. So you're travelling both ways. So actually, it does make sustainable sense. We've also added other companies too that we reared about just over 1 million day-old chicks to point of lay. Again, you see an issue there with sustainability and with quality of the animals that you're getting into your supply farms. So we set up our own company to rear those as well, to make sure that they're perfect for what we need for free-range poultry. Okay, thanks. Next. And this is just the team. This is Helen's other bit. Well, as well as she's looking after all the HR and counting all the beans for a 100 million turnover company, she has 2 sets of twins, and gets them all to 25 and 30. I think the school used to think Helen was a single parent family. And we have most of those in the business now. Lizzie on the left-hand side does a liaison. We do a lot of research, scientific research, innovative research, acoustics on farm animals, data systems. So Lizzie looks after all of that, my liaison between us and the academic institutions various. Rachel's a large animal vet who frames in town, and that's Helen, me in the middle, and then the other two, Jane and Emily. Emily looks after the rearing operation, and Jane looks after all the sustainability hat. She wears a sustainability hat now, so a true family company, I guess. And Jane's got a reputation for knowing what she's talking about, to be fair, which is really nice as a parent. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, and that was the celebration of 20...
The little one's 21st.
Little one's 21st, right? And what we have done as a company, we had all these bits that David did, and what Jane has brought in and is wrapped around where the King's Award came from was the whole natural capital strategy. It's not just one little bit. Next slide, please. It has to be a whole strategy as to how you approach that. And I have a fairly key rules here. If you only do it if it's based on science, if it's on science and research, and do the simple and cheap things first, because you're dealing with farmers, so they like doing simple and cheap things first. And if you can make it cost neutral or even profitable, better still. And then the fourth one's an odd one, really. I listen to Steve Jobs. And any of you that have followed Steve Jobs, he was very much a quotations man. He used to plagiarize most of them, to be fair, but I do like these ones. The future is not behind you. If you need to innovate, you need to look forward. And all the sustainability is all about looking forward. It's not about looking back. Although most of it's about looking forward. And innovation helps on that, make you thinking outside the box. And that's a fun place to be as a company. The management team you surround yourself with also become that mindset. So you have a really challenging management team who want to keep pushing to the next hurdle to get over it. And the last one, I suppose, is sensible. When we do fail occasionally, move quickly, fail quickly, move on. That's why their rockets blow up, don't they? But that's a different story. It's just not do a good idea just because it might not fail. Try it and see, and if it fails, move on. So that's our sustainability journey. Next slide, please. But it's got to be practical, replicable, and work for your suppliers. Now, our suppliers, by and large, are farmers. So it's pointless doing all the environmental stuff, being wonderfully sustainable, and it's not ethically right, or it's not economically right. So that whole thing, for sustainability to a lot of farmers is, am I going to be in business next year? So you have to take those people with you down this route. You need to have that whole sort of joined up writing, but they can make money with it and explain it and demonstrate it in our own company farms, I guess, now. Next slide, please. And that's the size of the challenge. 99.8% of our carbon is scope 3. 93% of that is on our supply farms. Beauty is, I suppose, with some of it is that the vast majority of that is in soy. So if we can reduce the soy in feed or get it back from North America, we can reduce the scope 3 relatively quickly. Next slide, please. And what have we done? Again, a lot of what Daniel's already announced with his talk. Trees was the start of it. We'd have invested a lot of money in data systems, taking data, be that acoustic, be that performance, be that shell quality, egg quality coming into our packing centre, and using that to trying to forecast what's wrong with our farmers' chickens before they know there's something wrong with them. So a digital vet, effectively, and then using that to improve the efficiency of our process. Counting carbon, we do quite a bit of that. One of Jane's team will go out onto every farm and count carbon, so we have a replicable benchmarkable. There's no other carbon system. Anyway, even if different farmers use the same carbon counting tool, they get a different answer. You can't benchmark it. But if the same person goes to farm and does it, you can. So there's a lot of easy wins there that came into the sustainability arena where we are, that you can get all your farms going down the same route just by one plagiarising the other one's ideas. And all the other ones, what you expect. We have nearly a megawatt, 950 kilowatts of solar panels on the roof of the factory. We have a megawatt worth of battery that stores that so we can utilise it more efficiently. And we're doing more of that. We're just extending the factory another 30% at the moment. That will have solar panels on the roof. And one of those things just keeps getting more and more efficient. And again, the biomass, we plant a lot of these trees for our chickens. 25% of our range area is all planted with trees. Some of those trees have been growing for 20, 25 years now. So they're quite decent sized trees and you have to thin them out. Well, like any woodland, you have to manage it and you have to thin it. So we use the wood chip from the thinnings, goes into the biomass that heats all the water for the factory. So again, it's those sort of round, if you possibly can, circularity of those type of sustainable initiatives. Next, please. Almost there. It's a complicated slide, but it just shows where the big wins are. Reducing the soy in our feed has saved us around about 20%, nearly 30% of our soy now, using other less carbon intensive inputs, and then sourcing all from North America because you're not demolishing and burning down the rainforest to produce North American soy. So that's again, and that's given our farmers a head start way above the rest of industry. Nobody's even close to this. Our average carbon kilos of CO2 per kilo of egg produced around about 2.35 now, something like that in the UK, and we're down about 1.8. And with the latest white birds that we bring in laying white eggs, we're down to about 0.9. So there's a massive increase in sustainability. In fact, Daniel says about the networking at Windsor Castle. When I saw the King at Windsor Castle, he was extolling his Burford Browns. So we had to have a discussion about how they weren't very sustainable. And I didn't get very far. I just shut up very quickly. But it was an interesting conversation. I think we'd have to carry it on a bit further. Last slide, please. And in our little business, we just have to ask ourselves, do you just want to be in business or do you want to be leading in business? And I think being awarded a King's Award kind of proves to maybe everybody else that maybe are you doing something right and possibly are leading in business. And it's an incentive to keep trying to do that. I think it's our journey, Helen, isn't it? Thank you.
Thank you, David. That was absolutely fascinating to hear about your journey there and some a really great insight into the fantastic work you've done. So any questions?